in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel, heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe or we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rail from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
All right, what is going on, Patriots? Good morning to you. I appreciate you being with us at this early hour. Is that not like the best alarm clock? If you woke up at 7 every day, 7:02, 3, depending on what time I hit the button, that's a hell of a way to wake up. Seriously, if you just had it set that way, I don't know if you can do that on your phone. I've got music that my iPhone, I set my alarm to. It'll wake me up with music, whether I want to be awakened softly with gentle chirps and soft sounds, or if you want to get fired up and ready to go, let that blast in your head. Crank it up and let it roll, and here we are. So regardless of when you got up, if you're up, thank you. Did you bring anybody with you? Don't forget, it's all about growth. It's all about improving our chances of being pushed out to more other people who have never heard of this show before. That's what the goal is here. So make sure you bring somebody with you because the algorithms like that stuff. Don't forget to hit the like on the way in. If you're just tuning in live, hit that like. And if you're watching this later in the day, whenever you get in, hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that join button. We really, really, really need you inside the locals community. Last night, I had a special message out there about our big ice party that's coming up on Friday to the locals folks. It's a little fun thing that I bought that we're going to take with us at the event. And but again, we need to push. We still have room, and we need to push for a full house, an absolute packed house. We have a huge opening day in terms of ticket purchases or RSVPs on day one. A little bit lagged after that. So we need to make sure people know about this event. So push it out there to your social media, your family, your friends, your crew, and let everybody know what we're doing and why we're doing it on Friday, because I'm very, very excited about that. And that, of course, is what you saw on the screen when you came in. And I'll pop it up here again for you. Look at that core. Look at that group. That is, like I said before I added Jack Windsor or confirmed Jack Windsor, I always wanted to have Jack. But before I was able to confirm Jack Windsor, I called it the 4 horsemen of the leftist apocalypse. They see us coming. They are terrified. But now it's the Metaphor doesn't work. They're not the 5 horsemen because there were only 4, but you get it. That is a powerful lineup of conservatives, unapologetic and unafraid to say, we stand with ICE for damn good reasons. And I'm going to share some of those reasons with you in a couple of minutes. But if you did not, excuse me, if you did not get the memo on Friday night, this coming Friday, from 6 to 9 p.m., RSVP right now for the Frontline Freedom Festival that we are holding. Peter Kirsanow on your left there, Tom Zawistowski from We the People Convention, then me, Jack Windsor from the Ohio Press Network, Sheriff Bruce Zukowski from Portage County. All of us are going to be talking and very, very excited about this. Not only are we going to have tremendous speeches and inspiration and support, there's going to be a lot of entertainment as well. We're going to have games. We're going to have some videos. We're going to have some raffles, a lot of great prizes. And by the way, if you've ever thought, I want to do something like this and I want to have my views out there to a big audience, it's averaging around 3,800 views per show. You can, because we're raffling off from those in attendance only. You can't buy a raffle ticket for this online. Only in attendance, we're raffling off a grand prize of you joining me, sitting in this chair, not mine, you can sit in your own. But we're going to do, you're going to co-host the show. You're going to co-host Strictly Speaking Unfiltered with me. And I am very, very much looking forward to seeing what we get. Because we're going to get a patriot. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I don't care as long as it's somebody who is going to align with the mission. And you know what? What if a leftist comes in there and wins the raffle? Then you know what? Bring that on too, right? Bring it on. Let's have a great debate. Let's have a great conversation for 2 hours in which we get to do this whole thing. I'm fine with that either, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I doubt that'll happen because leftists aren't RSVPing to come to this Support ICE event. I'm absolutely certain of that. So, but that's what's happening. Don't forget, it's March 6th. It's this Friday. And if you have friends or family members or coworkers who are conservative to their core and you don't know if they know about this, ask them. Tell them where you're going. Tell them to get their own RSVP and get their own spot, reserve their spot. By the way, people have been asking in the chat yesterday, by the way, good morning, chatters. I got to bring you up. People I saw late in the chat yesterday because I wasn't really looking at it much during the interviews that I was conducting. But people were asking, I don't know where to find the link to get tickets. And I'm kind of like sending you on a search mission. I'm saying, go to my locals page, go to my social media pages, find the link, go to the newsletter. I felt bad about sending you on a wild goose chase. Excuse me. So we created just a landing page for the RSVP. Just go to bobfrance.com. Type that in, bobfrance.com. I can probably even just do this, demonstrate this. Circus music here. Let me see if I can show this to you a little more easily. All right, that's the page we're sharing. Now I'm going to that page that we're sharing, and we're going to go to bobfrance.com, and it's going to redirect to, there it is, the ticket, the RSVP page. Very simple. strictlyspeaking.tixula.com. Don't worry about the Tixula. Just go to bobfrance.com. And by the way, we'll probably use that site after this event is over as a place to put some other great content for you, whenever the time arises. But for now, just go to bobfrance.com to get your tickets so that you can kind of make this easy and share that information with other people, like I said, that you want to bring along with you, because we absolutely want to bring as many people as possible to that event. We want to pack it, and we want to show the world and show the country that we do stand with ICE. All right. I want to do more on the ICE thing here because of the timeliness of all of this. But before I do that, just a little tease ahead. Title of the show today, as you can see, that I put up there is Peace Through Strength. Is bombing Iran justified? And that is a very good question. It's what a lot of people, there seems to be even some, I don't know if I want to call it outright division, discussion. How about that? There's discussion in the conservative ranks about whether or not we should be doing this. Some conservative commentators like Matt Walsh, with whom I have about 99.9% line of agreement with. I have a huge respect for him. And I'm sorry, I'm just getting text messages, and I got a little distracted there. But and Megyn Kelly, there are a few other people on the conservative side of the aisle who are not happy with the fact that we have decided to bomb Iran. And I want to talk about what that means, and I want to talk about the fact that Iran is changing its face and what it means to the safety and the security of the United States. This is what peace through strength looks like, and we're going to talk about that in some depth this morning. The other thing is, and do I have I don't think I showed you the graphic for today. I probably should do that too. Let me pop this up there real quick. Yeah, there it is. Boy, again, all of the problems that you get with AI, it is also very, very useful. And creating little cover photos like this, very, very helpful. Peace through strength, is bombing Iran justified? And it came up with the bombs hitting the Ayatollah's referenced compound there. You'll also notice, by the way, in the lower right-hand corner there, plus special guest Hillary Jackson from Moms for Liberty. No, Hillary isn't going to be opining about the bombing situation and whether or not this is the right thing to do. She has uncovered a different story that I watched on Channel 19 last night, actually online, but I saw it on Channel 19, and I quickly said, holy crap, Hillary, this is pretty big. Let's talk about this. So I texted her, and she, yep, let's do it. So in about 15 minutes, she's going to be with us. Hillary Jackson is. And I know at some point in time, I'm going to call her Hillary Clinton. And she'll have the right to slap me the next time I see her. But it's just Hillary and then the O-N at the end. It's Hillary Jackson and Hillary Clinton, and I know I'm going to slip. So don't take it personally. It's a slip, not a 40-1 Hillary. But Hillary is going to be joining us to talk about this story. Pornographic illustrations in classrooms. And the only difference between this one and the last time we talked about this type of thing is this is actually straight sex graphic sexual illustrations, meaning this book is gay, and the I Am Jazz and all the other, the little trans books where they tried to, the LGBTQ books where they put graphic illustrations and language and descriptions and stories about sex acts taking place between same-sex, boys and boys and girls and all that other trash. They said we were opposed to those books being in the libraries because we're homophobic and we're transphobic and we're LGBTQ phobic and all the other nonsense. And we said, no, we would be outraged if there was graphic sexual illustration in books for little children in their elementary school classrooms if it was even straight sex. Well, guess what? Now there is. And I'm just as outraged. And so is Hillary. So is the group Moms for Liberty, which is why we're going to talk to her in about 15 minutes about that story. All right. Now, where was I going with this as I kind of bebop around all over the place here, and with good reason, by the way, because like I said, there's a ton of really important news to get to. Let me start with the heading of the show. We'll come back to ICE, I guess, but let me start with the headline of the show that I've got for you this morning about whether or not it's justified to do what we did, and is this peace through strength? I don't often have a ton of use for NATO. Not as bad as the United Nations, but not always necessarily, because most of the NATO nations are counting on the U.S. to do everything. They don't contribute their fair share, if you will. They're basically trying to tell the United States how things are going to be when without the United States there would be no NATO. So I'm not a huge NATO fan, but this is big. NATO Secretary Mark Rutte, who served previously as Prime Minister of the Netherlands, has become a key advocate and ally of the U.S. generally, and Trump in particular, as we navigate this dynamic period in history. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte voiced full support for President Trump's strikes on Iran, declaring key allies stand all for one and one for all. That's how it's supposed to be anyway. Amid Tehran's widening missile retaliation, there is no sliver of light between us, Rutte said yesterday on Fox and Friends. The Europeans, Canada, Mark Carney, the United States, the American president, all for one, one for all, because everybody supports here in Europe the fact that Ayatollah Khamenei is gone, that the nuclear capability is gone, that the ballistic missile program has been now degraded, which was a big threat for Europe, as well as for Israel and the whole region. I really commend what is happening here, taking out Khamenei, taking out the nuclear capability of Iran, but also taking out the ballistic missile program in Iran. This is crucial. And what I see in Europe, I spoke with all the key European leaders over the weekend, is widespread support for what the president is doing, and also making sure that when it comes to logistics, access, defending key U.S. interests in Europe and in the region, the Europeans are really stepping up. That's pretty large. Yesterday, we were talking about at least 2 European countries when I was talking to Claire Lopez that have not got, and Robert Spencer that have not gotten on board, France and the UK. But I think they will fall in line when they see that the broader Western European region, as well as obviously our NATO allies, they're all on board. They're all on board. And they understand what peace through strength means. It can't just be peace through strong talk. There has to be some kind of teeth. There has to be some kind of action behind it. And what President Trump did just now, in this weekend, and that will continue for the foreseeable future. We don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks. Pete Hegseth made that clear yesterday, the Secretary of War. We don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks or if it's going to be 6 weeks. And even if we did, we're not going to tell you, because why would we tell our enemies at the same time? You really had a little battle there with the press yesterday over strategic, battle plans, if you will, or war plans. Why would we tell the press? Loose lips sink ships. We're not going to give you that information and then give that information to our enemies and let them know that all they have to do is hold out for 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, and then they can establish themselves and reconstitute and push back and blah, blah, blah. He's correct, obviously. So we don't know how long this whole thing is going to last, but we do know that the goal here is, again, to make sure that Iranian allies become Iranian enemies. In other words, if you see a bully beating up on a weak kid, and then a bigger, stronger kid beats the hell out of the bully, other bully's going to think twice before picking on other little kids, knowing that big bully is that bigger kid is around that takes out bullies. That's a kind of a weird analogy, but I hope it makes sense. Iran is a bully. Iran has been using its might, its financial, it's the money that Barack Obama and Joe Biden sent them, by the way, over $7 billion, nearly $8 billion combined just from those 2 presidents. They had been using that money to bully and beat up what they see as weaker kids, including Israel, funding the terrorism, in Israel, and not just in Israel, but primarily in Israel, from the north, from Hezbollah, from the east, in Hamas, from the west with the Houthis. I mean, virtually all over the Middle East, Iran's financial might has been devastating for a lot of very, I won't call them defenseless. Israel is extraordinarily powerful and strong, and they're a nuclear power too, but they're a very small country, and that's why they have to have, mandatory conscription for everybody. Men and women have to serve at least 2 years in the U.S. military or in the Israeli defense forces, because they need everybody, all hands on deck to defend themselves. But the point is, Iran has been the bully, and they've gotten away with it for so very long. Now the bigger kid came to the defense of, some of the smaller kids and beat the hell out of that bully. What are the other bullies in the area or across the world going to do? And they see now we can't mess around. They got a big protector there. They got a big guardian there that is watching out not only for the other kids, but for themselves. And that's what we are. So that's what peace through strength to me means, and how it advances the U.S. national security interests going forward, because our key allies have to be protected. That's because we get something from them as well. There's an alliance. It's not a benefactor situation. It's not a matter of us just giving for the sake of giving to somebody else. No, there is something we get in return. There is strategic, it's a strategic alliance with Israel and with a lot of other countries. And here's the thing, for me, and I want to get your thoughts too in a little while. We're going to have a conversation with Hillary coming up here in less than 10 minutes. But for me, and chatters, I welcome you to get in on this too. I would rather be part of a country that is not necessarily wishing and praying and hoping that terrorism stops. I would rather be part of a country that goes and kills terrorists, all of them, because it makes me safer. It makes my children safer. It makes their children safer, and children who have not even been thought of yet down the line. And for me, when you have the whole region, other Arab and Muslim nations saying, good job, way to get them. We don't like them either. We have all been put in danger because of them. Now, with 40 or 50 different Iranian commanders, including the Ayatollah and the senior leadership, all gone, there's a chance here. And there's a chance that the Middle East isn't always a tinderbox. Who's constantly attacking Israel? Iran, through their proxies. If Iran isn't able to fund all those proxies anymore, those proxies, what? They end up having nothing to do. And they have no, even though they are on a mission from what they believe, a mission from Allah to drive Israel from the river to the sea and drive them all into the sea and kill them and take over their land. If they have no ability to do that because the primary financier is gone and Iran is not going to be that Islamic Republic anymore, we're safer. So if you have nations in the region taking a lesson from this, if you have nations in Europe, as I just shared with you, the statement from the NATO General Secretary agreeing with this, why can't all Americans agree with this? Why do we have this divide? Like I said, I don't want to call it a division among the conservative ranks, but it's a discussion. There is a debate. There is a lane that some are taking that say basically, we don't agree with this because there should be no American blood spilled in foreign lands unless it directly impacts America. And that is where the debate point lies. That's where the discussion has to take place. Because if you are on the side of what President Trump has done here with these strikes, you will understand that this does directly impact America. No, America is not in Iran. But again, the rest of the world seeing what the United States has done and will do makes the rest of the world far less likely to target Americans, American interests, American embassies, American consulates, Americans, period, being taken and kidnapped in foreign lands. And again, specifically, it strengthens our position with the rest of the world. That can help us economically. So to me, while spending money and sending American troops into harm's way might not seem like it's pro-America because, Israel is half a world away, or Iran is half a world away. It might not seem that way, but there is a much more strategic element to this that I think we need to give the president and his team credit for understanding. There is an American interest here. All right. And this is something that was long overdue. I want to share a couple of clips with you. I pulled this up before. I want to do this before I get to Hillary Jackson. We changed subjects for a while. But this is, here we go. This is CNN. And it's an Iranian American named Moj Madara, as you can see in the description up there, who is trying to explain the scope of this and what is happening right here that President Trump has initiated and how this is going to be viewed for generations to come. All right, watch this clip.
I think that it is imperative the Democratic Party wake up and get past their dislike of Donald Trump, President Trump, and their feelings of international conflicts going on. This is about national security. This is about what is possible in the Middle East. This is about being a good neighbor, good partner to the Gulf states and what their aspirations are. This is about supporting the people of Venezuela. This is about dismembering our relationship with, or not dismembering, but resetting our relationship with China. Right now, 55% of the oil production that Iran produces goes to China despite sanctions. You want to support the people of Ukraine. You want to end that war. You have to. There is no getting around dismembering this Islamic Republic. It is non-negotiable. It is not a want to have. It is a have to have. And it's not just for the Iranian people. I think you have to trust the Iranian people. We know this government better than anyone else. When you dismember and decapitate this regime, you are going to see a change in the Middle East, in Venezuela, in China, in Ukraine. And I think, quite frankly,
pause that there, because that's the part I was talking about. When I talk about a bigger bully or a bigger kid defending weaker kids against a giant bully, peace through strength. If you show strength, don't just word strength, don't just use the strength of voices, but if you use strength that you demonstrate on others by beating the crap out of a bully, all of the other would-be bullies fall in line. She just started to list some of them there.
It is a have to have, and it's not just for the Iranian people. I think you have to trust the Iranian people. We know this government better than anyone else. When you dismember and decapitate this regime, you are going to see a change in the Middle East, in Venezuela, in China, in Ukraine. And I think, quite frankly, their ideology has really, it's caused a lot of problems for us worldwide. We need to take it seriously. And I think at this point, we have a tremendous opportunity. This will be like ending the Soviet Union, the Berlin Wall. This is a transformational moment for humankind, for security. And as an American, this is in our interest to complete it. So I am a Democrat. I have been a huge Democrat. I am incredibly disappointed with my party. I do not see myself in them in this moment.
So that's again, an Iranian American, literally laying it out there. Moj Madara, entrepreneur and co-founder of the Iranian Diaspora Collective. And that's a huge, huge statement you just heard there. It kind of backs up and buttresses the point that I was making. This is what peace through strength really looks like. I want to give you one more on this subject before I switch over and talk to Hillary. And I was just making sure she is getting into the green room so we can talk about something very, very different, which we'll get to here. But last night on Jesse Waters, you had Vice President J.D. Vance talking about what the future looks like here and what the real game plan is here. Are we wandering into another Iraq, where it's a long, protracted war without a clear, defined goal and a victory, tape line? Where's the finish line? So we know once we cross this line, we're done. It's not something we're going to be stuck with for a very long time to come. That's the goal anyway. And so Vice President Vance said this. Hold on one second. We're playing this from Rumble, so it's a little bit hard since we're also on Rumble, but this is a Rumble video.
After Iraq and Afghanistan, some people say, oh, here we go again. Is that something here you're thinking about?
Well, Jesse, if you think back to Afghanistan, 20 years of mission creep, 20 years of not having a clear objective, and 20 years of the United States trying to bring liberal democracy to Afghanistan. Iraq was a little bit shorter, but we were still in that country for nearly a decade with no clear mission, no clear definition. What's so different about this, Jesse, is that the president has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish. And there's just no way, I said this before the conflict started, I'll repeat it again, there's just no way that Donald Trump is going to allow this country to get into a multi-year conflict with no clear end in sight and no clear objective. What is different about President Trump, and it's frankly different about both Republicans and Democrats of the past, is that he's not going to let his country go to war unless there's a clearly defined objective. He's defined that objective as Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and has to commit long-term to never trying to rebuild their nuclear capability. It's pretty clear. It's pretty simple. And I think that means that we're not going to get into the problems that we've had.
Secretary Rubio said something similar, and I don't have that video or audio to play for you here, but Secretary Rubio basically laid out the exact same thing that, and so did Secretary Hegseth, by the way. Department of State, Department of War, Vice President, everybody is on the same page here, and it's extraordinarily important that we realize at this moment, that the objectives are clear. They're defined. It isn't just like, hey, we're mad at Iran. Let's go bomb Iran. And where does it go from there? I don't know. We'll play it by ear. No, there is a very specific set of mission parameters that have to be achieved. And when they are achieved, boom, done, we're out. And the face of the Middle East has changed. The face of American security has changed as a result, because it's going to impact. There's no question. Watching what we do, remember, we've talked about this axis: Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And then you throw China into that, really, and kind of make it a four-way axis, that red-green axis that we talk about, the communist and the Islamists all together, joined and working together in their against their common enemy, the West, the capitalist United States of America, the Judeo-Christian nation of the United States of America. So when you hit one of them, you kind of weaken all of them. That's the bottom line. All right. So here's what I want to do now. I want to pivot a little bit, because I told you I was just bouncing around last night doing some prep for this morning's show, gathering all of this information and intel that I could get with respect to Iran and more. But I was, like I said, primarily we're researching this to see where the administration is, see what the rest of the world is saying, see what some of the other social media and conservative commentators are saying. Why do I have myself up like that? I don't have my guest ready yet. There we go. But I was bouncing around, and I found a link on social media to a 19 news story. Be quiet, you. A 19 news story. And the headline was, "Children's book under review at public library after parents bring up concerns over graphic images." Like, okay, what book are they reviewing and what graphic images? I thought it was just basically an old video from a year ago or more than a year ago, when the This Book is Gay and the I Am Jazz and all the other LGBTQ books were out there and on our kids' school shelves, and we had parents raging at school board meetings, justifiably so. Parents reading some of the pornographic clips, also justifiably so. And I thought that's what this was again. Okay, this is still going on. So I clicked it, and then I watched it. Come to find out, it's not a book about the LGBTQ, mission that they have to try to overly sexualize young children in order to then sexually confuse them about sexual orientation and about gender identity and all the other nonsense. It wasn't. This one was actually a book that had, straight sex. And so I started to watch it, and then I thought, holy crap, Hillary Jackson's there. This is a Hillary Jackson story. She's the one who went to whomever and got this story to hit the news. Hillary Jackson is the Northeast Ohio chair of Moms for Liberty. And I said, I know Hillary. I need to talk to Hillary. I texted her late last night and I said, whoa, that's amazing. Can you come on tomorrow morning? Less than a beat. Yup, let's do it. So let's welcome now Hillary Jackson, the Northeast Ohio chair of Moms for Liberty, to our show. Now I can slide over and bring her up. There she is. Hillary, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for getting up early for this little visit today.
Of course. I did my makeup around 3 a.m. Took a couple hour nap, and here we are.
Well, that is very nice of you to do. We did. Sorry about the early hour, but this is when we can do it. So, Hillary, I don't want to replay the story on Channel 19 because I want you to tell the story, but I will show maybe just a second or two of the clip here. Let me see if we can bring all of this up at the same time. And yeah, here we go. Just a little brief clip. This is what I saw last night. Like I said, that made me text Hillary right away, and I said, we got to do this. We got to have this.
About where babies come from is sparking outrage from parents tonight, saying the images inside are too graphic. The book should not be in the children's section. Everywhere at 5, Maria Janelle has the story from.
Now, this page you're not going to be able to show on TV.
Mother of 2, Hillary Jackson, showing me a children's book, but parts of it are too graphic to show.
That's what got me right there. And I thought, holy cow, Hillary is on TV right now. What is going on here? So Hillary, tell me about this book and tell me how you came across this and came to be kind of the, the face, if you will, of responding to this thing being in school shelves.
Yeah. Well, it started with, like you, I was just scrolling on social media, and I saw that I was tagged in a post on the local Parma Facebook page. And what happened was there was a grandmother who went to the Parma Powers branch, was looking for a book to help guide their granddaughter in expecting a new sibling. So they went to the section that's clearly marked in the children's section, brothers and sisters. And she looked and she saw the title of the book that's called "Was I in My Mama's Stomach Too?" And the outside of the book, here, I'll show you.
Yeah, thank you.
Outside the book is well, my filters might not be able to.
Yeah,
pull it
yeah.
up correctly.
Everything is blurred, so the book was blurred too, but that's okay.
I don't know how to unblur it. Visual effects, maybe. There we go. Look.
All right, perfect. Oh, there you go. Was I in my mama's stomach? Is that what it says? Okay, was I in my mama's stomach too? Okay.
Yep. So it's cartoon, looks perfectly harmless. Of course, as a grandmother, you wouldn't think anything of it when you pull it off the shelf. So, as she's going through it, everything looks good. It kind of explaining what pregnancy looks like, what to
Gloria,
expect.
I'm encouraged, by the way, if I may, I'm encouraged by the fact that the title is "Was I in my mama's stomach too?" Because I can completely see it saying "Was I in my daddy's tummy?" Because that's what they were teaching these kids. Seriously, I mean, for a very long time, and maybe they still are in places that are on the real down low. Because that has been wiped out essentially by state law and by executive order from the president. But that kind of stuff was literally what. So this is progress. At least it's saying, "Are kids asking, was I in mommy's tummy?" So
There's quite a bit of progress in this book. It's even showing different stages of like fetal development, and I was saying, well, at least they're showing that there's a baby in there, not a clump of cells. Because
there you go. That's
baby.
huge progress.
But as she's as this grandma is like showing the pictures, she comes across, it's just one page, and it's literally a page. Now this is Rumble. Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
I have. It teaches you how to stroke a dick. And I wish I was kidding, but that's literally what it says.
In this book about child fetal development, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that, teaching children about the birds and the bees and how things happen and so on. But it gets that profane and that graphic.
Yes, it absolutely does. So I printed this, like I told you I would last night, and I used my little whiteout pen, so it's safe for for viewers and whatever. But it literally tells it teaches a woman how to arouse and erect a penis. It literally says, the man likes to caress the woman's breasts and vagina. The woman strokes the man's penis. The penis becomes big and very stiff.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. And that's enough of that because it gets worse.
What bookshelves was this on? Are we talking kindergarten? Are we talking junior high level? Where did we find this? And to the point that it became newsworthy.
It might be hard to see, but right here on the front cover, it says ages 3 to 6.
It's targeted for preschool?
Yep.
3 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's preschool, kindergarten, first grade.
Yes.
That's are supposed to learn about stroking and massaging and caressing sexual body parts. That's incredible.
Yep.
Are you aware of schools that have this on their shelves right now? Or are we just targeting maybe the publisher for putting the ages 3 to 6 on this? Or what are we seeing?
As far as schools, I have not been made aware of any schools that have this in their libraries, but the fact that it was at a public library where children often
public library, it's in it's in the little kids section of the public library.
Right next to all the toys, yes. Because when I went to go check it out myself, because of course, doing my due diligence, I went to that branch and I checked to see if it was there, because this is what the news didn't tell you. When I called that branch and asked them why this book was in their children's section, they told me that they didn't have it.
So they just lied about it. What they did? They didn't think you would come in and look?
Apparently not. So when I did go in to see if it was there, I did confirm that it was in the section that this grandmother said it was in. And it was, and I brought my kids with me just to kind of map out the area. And of course, I have my phone going the whole time. But yes, this section was right next to all the toys. And I had this perfect shot of my 7-year-old rushing to the toys, playing with that book literally being, eye level to where my 7-year-old was playing with one of their, with one of their toys there. And what's strange is that not only did they say that they didn't have it, it didn't show on their online catalog that they had it there either. But I was able to check out a book that they didn't have. And then also when I went to check it out, I couldn't do the self checkout. I kept getting this like alert. And so I had to go actually like see a librarian. And they said, oh, this book was on hold, but here, let me fix that for you. Bloop. And then I was able to check it out. So I don't know how they can put a book on hold that they don't have, but here we are.
So what did you say once you found it? And did you confront anybody? Did you in person? Did you talk to any librarians, or did you go back and call and saying, hey, you told me that I didn't, whoever answered the phone, you told me you didn't have this, but I just found it and checked it out, or what have you? How did you handle it with the library?
So I called before I went again, and they told me that they didn't have it. And she ended up forwarding me to another woman to do the review. She, walked me through that process, and she also explained to me the process of getting the book on the shelf and categorized goes through 3 different adults. So there was at least 3 adults that looked at that book and said that it was okay for that age group, that section. Now, after I checked it out, I will tell you, I was there with my family. My husband's a little bit on the shy side, so I didn't confront any librarians there with my family. But I did, post online. I sent an email, and I filled out the form, so they know that I was able to check it out and that I have it.
Okay, so what library is this? I don't think they're all taxpayer funded by massive taxpayer dollars. I've talked to state representatives who are trying to get that shrunken, that budget shrunken from across the state. It's amazing how much money we pour into libraries in the state. But what library are we talking about?
So this was at the Parma Powers branch for the Cuyahoga County Public Library System. But then when I did initially look, it showed that they didn't have it at that branch, but they do have it at the South Euclid branch. So there's at least 2 that I know of for sure that are circulating in that library system.
Okay, so that's extraordinarily discouraging to learn. What is their justification? First they just said we don't have it. And then you said, okay, I just found it in your library. You do have it. Did they offer any justification? Did you discuss content with them? Did you open up the book and show without the white out lines that you did, what little children are being exposed to?
Yeah, the only justification that was offered to me was to fill out the review form so that it can, a review process can be started by the, upper management. That was pretty much it. She did mention on the phone when I spoke to her that they want to make sure that they're fair because, in my opinion, this is pornography, but it might not be pornography to somebody else, which I thought was kind of interesting because, again, the news couldn't even show the images or read, read excerpts from the book on live television. So I don't know how this can be objective in any way, but that was their response was.
What it reminds me of, again, going back to the LGBTQ books that these libraries stock, and not just in the public libraries, but in the school shelves, on the school shelves as well. And by the way, you said you're not aware of it being on school shelves. The fact that it's in children's shelves in the public library and it's targeted for ages 3 to 6 means it's very likely on some school bookshelves as well, or classroom shelves, just like the This Book is Gay and the other ones that we're talking about here. So what I want anybody who is watching right now who's got children or grandchildren, find out. You should go to your school's, resource, whoever the individuals are, whether it's an assistant principal or whomever the best resource is at your school, and say, I'd like to know if this is a book that is on the shelves at my children or my grandchildren's school. And if it is, I would like to know why, and I would like to get it removed. I want parents and grandparents to take action here, Hillary. It's one thing for you to go on TV. By the way, great job of presenting that last night, and the Channel 19 story that I saw. But it's one thing for you to go on TV and for us to talk about it on a podcast, but I want parents to confront administrators, librarians, teachers, or whatnot, and find out if this stuff is there. Because I'd be stunned to find out that it's not. If they were willing to put the gay pornographic stuff on the bookshelves, why wouldn't they put the straight pornographic stuff on the bookshelves?
Well, and I've been so shocked by a lot of the I mean, most of the times I don't read the comments, but my husband started reading them, and of course he mentioned, this is what people are saying. So I went online and I looked at the comments under Channel 19, their article that they did, and it was so surprising to me how many people were justifying this, calling it educational. Now, of course, if they only saw what was on the news, they're not going to see, what I see. It was very blurred when they put it on the TV, and they weren't actually like reading from the book. But there's no part of this is educational. So of course, my concern is, again, like, what kind of world are we living in where we have people, keyboard warriors online justifying this? No wonder it's in our schools. No wonder we're seeing the issues that we're having. I mean,
well, to be fair, Hillary, too, we should, the educational part of this, which you even pointed out, there is an element because they're showing where babies come from,
Yeah.
and the way the birds and the bees talk used to be at a very simpler and more innocent time. It was, when a man and a woman, decide that they love each other very much, they get married, and that's how the story goes. They get married first, and then they come together, and then they have babies. And that's the origin of children. That's okay. And to even then talk about the gestational period, the fetal development, and all of the things that you showed there. Okay, I'll give them that. That's educational. But that's where it stops. You can say a mommy and a daddy get together and make a baby, but for ages 3 to 6, that's where it stops.
Exactly.
To me, for ages 3 to probably 10, they should stop. And then when you get into 10 and 11, then you talk about there's something called sexual, intercourse that is required for a mommy to have a baby. And then you get into the things at that age. But graphic illustrations like that for any young child, I just think that's what makes this ridiculous for them to try to defend the online warriors you're talking about.
Well, it's grooming. It's showing these kids that this kind of behavior it's normalizing it for that age group with cartoons and imagery and things like that. And it's not normal. And what really kind of my point that I was trying to make is when people were saying it's educational. Okay, well, did any of you guys have sex ed in preschool or first grade or even second grade, even third grade? Did you guys discuss this kind of stuff in your health or biology or not? No.
Sex ed usually doesn't start until junior high, right?
I think I was in like 5th grade. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of right around puberty time, and that's when sex ed happens. And it's usually within the context of what a science or a biology or a phys ed class. Phys ed or what is it? Some days it's phys ed, some days it's gym, and some days it's what's the word? For crying out loud, I'm forgetting my childhood. But you know what I'm talking about. Like at least in our calendar was one day it was gym activities. The next day it was health. It was HPE. There you go. HPE is what it is. So health and phys ed. So in health class we would learn about sexual reproduction. So that's part of lessons, but that's where it was contained, was in health class. It wasn't just graphic books on a shelf for everybody to check out, and more specifically for little children to check out.
Yeah, I mean, I saw so many people also saying like, well, that's what porn is for, to teach you how to do it. Well, there's laws. Like, you have to be at least 18, 21 to even be able to like look that stuff up. It's like there's no part of that is ever going to be okay for a 3 through 6-year-old. And that's why I'm so adamant about talking about this. And obviously, like, it's uncomfortable and it sucks. And I have to like have my kids go hide in a room somewhere when I'm talking about these things and displaying pictures. I have to hide the stuff throughout my house. But it's a conversation that is worth having, and it's a fight worth fighting. And I'll do it if it means protecting our littles from things that their brains are not ready for, which is why we have the laws in place to begin with.
I'm doing a little search here, Hillary, while you're explaining that, because what you just said a moment ago, that you said there are people out there that say, porn is good or it's necessary because it teaches kids or whatever. You know who says that? And I just found it because I remembered seeing it the other day. And you call this grooming. So, I mean, you could not have been more spot on. Watch this, everybody. Let's watch this. Let me put it together. Yeah, here we go.
You mentioned the PAC states, and these and many states are very about that. They're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational if they are queer. And you're a principal, you have LGBT students in your school, and we also know that they're not receiving sex education for queer kids. We know that prurient interest could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More and more people are saying there simply are no transgender kids.
Now, well, yeah, dude, you're right. There are no transgender kids. There are confused kids that get warped by people like you. But Hillary, that debate and that commentary was from some cross-dressing dude who literally is saying that pornography is necessary for kids because it's educational, specifically for LGBTQ kids. They need to learn how to be queer and learn how to be sexually active queers. That's literally what he was saying, and it took right off of what you were just talking about.
Yeah. Well, first all I could think of was that Austin Powers line. That's a man. But what struck me is that he said there's no sex ed for queer kids. Well, sex ed is biology. It's the same, regardless of what your orientation is. That part doesn't change. So there's no necessity outside of basic biology. Yeah, that's just it's sick. It's twisted. It is absolutely intended to
Well, it teaches kids sex at an early age. It teaches kids about sexuality at an early age. And we've talked about this with the whole, the grooming movement. You get kids early on interested in sex and sexuality. And while they're at that very, very young pre-formative stage of their mind, then you can kind of mold it into, by the way, it doesn't have to be boys with girls and girls with boys. It can be whatever you feel like. They start that early on. And so this book that you're talking about, which is about straight sex, where babies come from, and then getting very graphic in the process about fondling, groping, stroking, et cetera, with images, with drawings that you had to white out, for crying out loud. You wouldn't be allowed to probably take that to a school board meeting or to a library board meeting or something of that nature and show it without the redactions, without the whiteout that you did, because it is offensive. It is dangerous. And when you're teaching kids about sex, then the LGBTQ, like that dude there, say, well, if you're going to teach about straight sex, you have to teach about queer sex as well. And that justifies some of the stuff that we have been talking about getting off of the bookshelves.
Yeah, I mean, I was fighting with Facebook all last night, just posting that I was getting flagged and they tried to suspend me and all that stuff from posting this image on Facebook, where you're supposed to be adults to even have an account. So yeah, because it is offensive and it is gross.
Still up there? Did your post get removed, or is it still up there?
No, it is still there. I was able to get that fixed after a few hours of speaking to people who could barely speak English. So yeah, it is still up there. But yeah, I mean, that's why I have no problem calling it what it is. And I made a post about this as well. Pedophilia is alive and well in Northeast Ohio, based on the people commenting and defending this type of imagery and graphic descriptions in our children's section meant for ages 3 through 6. If you are okay with that, then you are okay with pedophilia. You are a pervert. There's something wrong with you. And somebody from Homeland Security should probably be going through your search history to make sure that if you might need to be in jail.
Yeah, I concur because it says something about you, and I don't know what necessarily. So there, by the way, look at that graphic photo of Hillary Jackson with me promoting today's appearance. So that's perfect. But I just pulled up your page because I want to see. Yeah, okay, there it is. I won't hold over too long because I don't want anybody to flag me either. But yes. I am so glad to know that you had the courage to do this and show everybody. If this is okay for what's really frustrating about it is, Hillary, they're saying that this is inappropriate for you to put on Facebook, which is what adults can see. Facebook is primarily an adults. It's not adults only. It's not age restricted, but it is an adult platform. But they have no problem with the fact that, this is for 3 to 6 year olds. This book is for 3 to 6 year olds. The one that you're showing right now is for 3 to 6 year olds. Where is their outrage for that rather than you showing it on a pretty much adult platform?
Because they're perverts, Bob. They're perverts is what it is. And they drank the Kool-Aid. They're part of the woke mind virus, the mind sickness. And we've been talking about this ever since Charlie Kirk died. There's a clear difference. There's a separation between us and them. Good and evil, normal people versus sick people. And there's no gray area when it comes to this. Either you're normal or you're sick.
I think it's high time that we start looking at funding for our libraries. Like I said, I had a state representative on, and I wish I could remember which one it was. And I'm embarrassed to say that because it was a great conversation. But it's been a few months now that we talked about Ohio's budget for libraries and how extraordinarily large the Ohio library system is. I mean, there are some library districts where they have, like 6 buildings, for crying out loud, for one small community. And it just, it's wasteful. And it's very, very, very heavily protected by other lawmakers. I don't know why. I'm not suggesting it has anything to do with this content you and I are talking about. But
it does.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's what's even. So there's obscenity laws, right? And there are two people that are protected and exempt from obscenity laws, and that's librarians and libraries and teachers. They are exempt from obscenity laws as a whole, like not if it pertains to X, Y, and Z, like they're just exempt. So with that being said, the way Ohio law is written now is if your child went to school or child went to a library and was given like porn or a Maxim magazine, it's art. And they are exempt from the obscenity law. There's no lawsuit. There's no protections for your children in libraries or schools when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, let's think about what that says about the culture we've built for ourselves. That the two professions that have the most access to your children in what is supposed to be a learning environment are the two that are exempted from obscenity laws.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Not the construction worker who wants to look at a penthouse, but the teacher and the librarian that have access to your children. They don't have to abide by obscenity laws. It's ridiculous. It's insane. And yet, you know what? Here's what you do. Tell me, if you got your license as a preschool counselor or something of that nature, would that make you exempt and therefore able to post this stuff on Facebook? Hey, I'm exempt from any obscenity laws. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but if that's what it's all about, like I said, it's about the profession and about your quote unquote status as an educator. Then we've got problems here. There's no question about it. Well, Hillary, I'm so glad I wish the story didn't exist, but it does. And so what I'm going to try to do is figure out who our champion opponent of the funding of the libraries is and get them back on again to talk about where things are. But what I started to say before is when I say I don't know exactly why they're so protected, I'm talking specifically about the budget for libraries, not necessarily the protection from obscenity laws. But the library system is so untouchable. It's incredible, the pushback that I found out about this when I did that last interview with with one of the legislators in Columbus, and it's about jobs. They make it about jobs, because there's so many librarians and aides and assistants, so on and so forth, that if they shrunk it down to the size that it should be, and comparatively, Ohio's library system, expenditures per resident or per pupil, et cetera, are just off of the charts compared to any and every other similar size state. It's just a massive, massive expenditure, and there's been a movement to try to shrink that down. And every time you do, like I said, the forces of God rise up and stop these people. How dare you touch our precious libraries, Hillary? When I did this interview, I found out, there are some libraries that are taking, because they have such little business in terms of actual students and people wanting to come and check out books and resource materials, they're renting out tools out of the library like a Home Depot. They're literally using, I kid you not, and they're calling it educational because some of these tools are used for the teaching of agriculture or whatever. But you need to go rent yourself a split seater or, what do you call whatever it's called. Anyway, lawn equipment essentially is what I'm talking. But they're renting them out of libraries, and these libraries are being funded as libraries. It's a remarkable thing. This kind of thing, this graft that's going on is, I think, the best way to say it in Ohio libraries. But we got to find out about the funding, and we got to let them know this is another reason why we have to. We've got to monitor very, very closely how our tax dollars are spent. I don't want my tax dollars nor yours going to teaching kids and showing kids these, these graphic images. Final word to you, Hillary.
Well, what you described kind of sounds like the teachers' unions, because that's what I'm struggling with too. Is the teachers? They come out of the depths of hell in swarms like locusts when things like this happen. So I understand exactly. What you're saying when you talk about the protections for libraries, because the teachers unions are very similar when it comes to protecting the teachers and the administration when we have issues of pedophilia and sexual harassment between teachers and students in our public education. The protections are outrageous to the point where the schools pay these teachers to quit and go somewhere else and go teach somewhere else instead of actually firing them and trying to, get their license revoked. It's very strange, like you said, the libraries and our education system, how they operate very, very similarly as far as the protections and what they are able to show our children and the type of unfettered access that they have to our kids.
Yeah, they sure do. By the way, somebody's going to give you a reputation as being the library destroyer after our reading event last year.
Totally cool with it. Totally cool with it. That's a badge I would wear proudly if it means getting crap like this out of the hands of our 3-year-olds.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what we're talking about, Hillary, just a very brief recap of the reading event that I participated in, along with who else? Purva Ramaswamy. Yeah, tell everybody what happened there, real quick.
Oh, that was a reading event where we were reading brave books. So it's not like we were, bashing people upside the heads with Bibles, but it was brave book stories about courage, overcoming obstacles, just wholesome stuff. And we had Bob and Apurva there to read to the kids, and we had the woke LGBTQ HGTV mob come to the library, inside the library, with signs and T-shirts that called us fascists, and they formed this like huddle. So you had to walk through them in order to get to our room.
The gauntlet.
The gauntlet, yeah. And when we started reading to the kids, they came in with their banned books. One of them being this, again, another cartoon perversion book, but that one was full of gay sex. And this woman came in and she was reading it and had it held up so the images were perfectly visible to our kids, so visible that I had a parent, while we were obviously trying to keep the kids distracted, a parent was very easily able to take pictures of the images that were in that book, and I took those images and blew them up pretty big, and you could see indisputably the type of images and perversion that was in that book that this woman was trying to show my kids. And that's when I got really ticked off and alerted the masses. And funnily enough, I haven't heard from after they tried to send me a cease and desist, and I told them where they could put that cease and desist. I haven't heard from them since.
Well, good for you. And, the other thing I know that was very frustrating for you and for me too, is you had a whole lot of RSVPs. You had a lot of children that were going to be there for that event, teaching them and reading, like you said, about stories of courage and strength and faith and whatever else. And how many of them did not show up? It was a very small gathering because a lot of parents who showed up there saw the gauntlet and said they're not taking their kids through that, and they turned around and left.
Yeah, the mayor was getting emails and letters from parents that were very disappointed, that were very intimidated just by pulling in the parking lot and seeing, because there were people outside too, as well as inside. But there, he definitely received a lot of reports of people, seeing what was there, getting scared to enter their library that they paid to fund, to the point where they got in their car and had to turn around. Insanity. They're sick.
It is a sickness. There's no doubt. You're exactly right about it. Well, Hillary, thank you for doing the work here. Thanks to Moms for Liberty, the organization you represent, for the great work that they do. Keep the pressure on. You find more stories like this. I'm glad you took it to TV, by the way. How'd you get it on TV?
They came to me.
It came to you. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Take it everywhere you can. Include me. Let me know anytime you've got a story like this. And I know you tried to a couple of nights ago. We didn't get a chance to connect. I didn't know this was the story, but I'm so glad that I found out and that we were able to do this conversation, because I want to expose this stuff just as badly as you do. So keep up the great work with Moms for Liberty, and we'll chat again.
Thanks, Bob. Have a good one.
Thank you. Hillary Jackson, she's the Northeast Ohio chair of Moms for Liberty, the Northeast Ohio chapter of Moms for Liberty. That story was pretty much grotesque. When you see the beginning of the report, I started to play the report from Channel 19 where Hillary was on last night. And it sounds like, oh, okay, well, they're teaching kids about where babies come from, and that's fine. And it even it showed graphic illustrations of, well, not graphic insofar as they are graphics, not graphic as in grotesque or inappropriate, but they had illustrations of, the inside of a mommy's, uterus, but I think they just say mommy's tummy or mommy's stomach. And they show the baby in there, and it shows the actual form of a baby, not like she said, not a clump of cells or something like that. So it's like, yeah, recognizing these are human beings inside, the mommy. And so it's all well and good until it gets to the pages. Now here's how it got there. And then it shows all of the graphic sexual stuff and some of the language that she described. I mean, you saw how much whiteout she had to use. She printed a copy of a page from that book and then had to white out all the stuff that would get it censored. It was a lot. And it's wholly unnecessary. Ages 3 to 6. It is wholly unnecessary, and it's something that we should push back against. All right. I need a short timeout, so I'm going to chill for just a moment. I'm going to give you some chill music. And I'm going to give you a reminder on screen of what is coming up this Friday. And I'm going to ask you to send this. Go to bobfrance.com, bobfrance.com. All right. Because that's where you can RSVP for Friday's event. It is our Frontline Freedom Fest. And it is coming up on March 6th, this Friday, March 6th. RSVP for your spot now. It's going to be in Brook Park. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Great speakers, as you can see there. Sheriff Zukowski, Jack Windsor, Tom Zawistowski, and Peter Kirstenau and I are all going to present. And we're going to have fun. We're going to have a lot of food. We're going to have videos. We're going to have games. We're going to have contests. We're going to have raffles. It's going to be a great night, 6 to 9 on Friday. Get your tickets now at bobfrance.com, bobfrance.com. And by the way, every paid attendee gets a free I Stand With ICE t-shirt. This t-shirt, look at that. I have it ready to go. You'll get a free t-shirt. It's a $25 t-shirt being donated for free by Mike Adams at CLE23, who is doing the printing of the shirts. Mike is the guy who gave the free Charlie Kirk shirts away at the Charlie Kirk Vigil in Strongsville. Now he's giving these away, but only to paid attendees at the event. So for the price of your ticket and your spot, you get all the food and the entertainment and the speakers and so forth. You'll also get that t-shirt, a $25 value in its own right, or a $35 ticket. So I hope to see you on Friday. Let me get that quick time out right now and we'll be right back. Oh, wait, hang on. I changed my mind about something here super quick. I'll put this back up here, but you know what I want you to listen to during the timeout here? If it works, you know the AI song that I made that we use to start the show every day? Red, White, and Raised Hell? I had AI generate another song. I put in my prompts, the things that I wanted it to be about, and it was about ICE, and it was about standing for something, about protecting law enforcement, protecting from criminals and so forth. Let me turn the music off here real quick. I asked it to, like I said, generate another song, and it was supposed to be basically about the difficulty that ICE agents and law enforcement have against protesters who hate them. You know, the ones that don't back the badge. It turned out, I think it cranked out a pretty good song. I tried to upload it into my platform here to play it during this show. I don't know if it got fully uploaded. So I'm about to share with you that song during my timeout, and either it'll play or you'll have the background music. All right. So bear with me. Let me get the image back up there, because this is just kind of, I think it was cool. Again, AI isn't perfect, and it could be a lot of bad things for a lot of people, but in some ways it can do some good, and I think this is good. So this is a song, an AI song that I basically commissioned through the program, and I want you to check it out and tell me what you think of it. Here we go. Hopefully it'll fire.
Stone boots laced, another name on the paper, another hard case. And got a wife back in Lubbock, kids in their Sunday best. I ain't some villain in a movie, I'm a man doing my best. You can scream in my face and block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Saw you playing for cameras, shoving phones in my crew, spitting words like traitor, like you know what we go through. When you circle that transport like it's some kind of game, there's a scared little girl in the backseat, you don't even know her name. You can scream in my face and block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the shove them into harm's way. You turn a bus into a battlefield. I'm just trying to get them home today. Call me every name you can think of, I'll still show up when it hits the fan. When the dust clears, when fear's near, we'll see who really ran. You can scream in my face, you block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand.
Line in the sand is what we call that one. Oh, and it started over again. I'm going to have to stop it now. Yeah. That one's called Line in the Sand. And again, Lois Irene in the chat just kind of nailed it, what I was talking about before. You know, AI is, you know, a very, I don't know, it's a defining element of our time, I think, right now. It's very, very new still, and it's already able to do some things that we could never have comprehended 10 years ago. I cannot imagine 5 years from now with the advances of AI. It's frightening in its concept, to be 100% honest. It is also frightening in terms of the number of jobs it's going to take away, because it can do so many things. Musicians hate it, because what I just did for you, you know, what I did when I created this song, like the show open song, you know, I basically wrote a couple of lyrics and a couple of prompts, and I threw it into the song maker, and it spit these things out. Maybe if AI didn't exist, maybe I'm calling, or I'm trying to hire an actual musician to make a song, to write some lyrics and make a song about what I want, you know, my show to be about, or I want this particular event to be about, or whatever. And maybe, you know, that's why they're mad. And maybe they should be. There are some people who think lawyers are going to lose their jobs because AI can write better opening and closing statements than any lawyer. All you need is a good spokesperson. All you need is somebody who's a good character actor. There are a lot of different things that AI is going to do that are going to be, you know, like I said, bad for America, bad for humanity in some ways. And I'm trying really hard not to play the Terminator card, which of course is tired, but you know, there's something to it. I'm trying really hard not to be that guy. But AI is already capable of doing some extraordinary things, helping us blur the line between, you know, fantasy and reality. Did so-and-so really just say that? I saw it on screen. Or was that AI? Somebody made, I mean, there's videos of Trump out there just doing raps and videos of Trump, and they look amazingly real. Some look more cartoonish and are obvious. And the fact that he's rapping means it's obviously fake. But my point is, they make them look and sound so good. If you can make him rap, you can make him say things, not just Trump. I'm not trying to make this political. This is a general statement. You do it to me. Get my image from a podcast like this and make me say whatever somebody wants. And you know, that's what the deep fakes are all about. There are children who have been victimized big time by AI's ability to create, again, fantasy from reality. You know, putting children's faces on bodies, you know, doing, you know, things that are not appropriate for children or for anybody for that matter. I mean, but, you know, and just posing in certain places and trying to make teenage girls, you know, putting their faces. That's another thing too. When I say children, I'm not talking always about the youngest, but, you know, a 15-year-old girl has her face superimposed on a body of a naked model from OnlyFans or someplace. And it looks like, and then that gets circulated around, you know, her school and classrooms or whatever. It's very, very dangerous stuff. I'm going to have to do a whole show. I'm going to have to do 2 hours with some experts on AI. I'll probably get Patrick Wood, who is my partner in Citizens for Free Speech and our Statesman podcast that we do, and his work with technocracy. But I'll probably have to put a little panel together to talk about AI, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know how you feel about it. Is AI? Can I do a survey on? I don't know if I can do a survey in the chat. Probably not. Just have to be loose. But I'm kind of just, if you were to just make it binary, just two choices. On balance, is AI better or worse for us? I don't want to say humanity and make it all existential. And I don't want to say just America either. On brand, is AI a benefit, or is it on balance, I should say, is it a benefit, or is it a detriment to our society? I'd like to know and explain why. If you're in the chat right now, I want to see what you have to say. Hey, Scott. Just looking up at the chat, SRL 2025. Scott, we met at the Oberlin Donut Shop in the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Well, welcome, Scott. It's good to see you, or to see that you are here anyway. Appreciate that. Answer that question, though. CMG, I think that's Charlie, said AI, talk about dumbing down society. We won't even know how to think. That's true. That is absolutely a reality. It's like the kids using ChatGPT to write their papers for them in college. You know, the professors are supposed to be one step ahead of the game. They're supposed to be able to run a paper through some sort of an AI. That's the crap of it. There's like a tool that professors have where you can run a student's paper through some AI reader, some speed reader or whatever, and it will scan it for plagiarism from other materials online, either AI itself or just from other sources. Really, really, really dangerous stuff. So in order to catch AI, professors are using AI. But the point being, students, you're right. They don't have to think if they can have this machine think for them and put their ideas on paper and submit it as their own. It's a really, really dangerous thing. But on the other side, on the flip side, it is extremely valuable for a lot of good reasons and good purposes. And it's being made to do great things in the medical field, for example. I mean, AI, not that you don't want to replace doctors either, but doctors are able to input your symptoms and, whatever information they have, your body type, your blood type, your cholesterol level, your heart rate, et cetera, plug all of this stuff into a system and say, what's wrong? And AI goes, this is what's wrong. And the doctor says, this is what's wrong. We can treat that. And maybe they would not have been able to figure it out on their own. So AI can be very, very useful and very, very helpful for me, like from an entertainment standpoint. And from, what I'm doing is entertainment, but I like to think that this is a cause, a mission of sorts as well. I'm trying to influence people, and I'm trying to help people become active in protecting and preserving their communities. Literally at every level, from local community to county and representative district and so forth, all the way up through federal government. I'm trying to be influential and have an impact on people in a positive way, so that we can do better things for, like I said, for our country and for our culture. But yeah, it's entertainment too. And I'm able to create these songs that I can't make on my own. I couldn't play a note on a guitar if you put a gun in my head. But I can tell AI what I want it to do, and I said I want a song about what it's like to be in law enforcement, particularly in ICE, when you have all kinds of protesters boxing you in, when you have all kinds of agitators and obstructionists trying to harm you. The victims of violent people are continuing to be victimized as violent people go free. And I said, this is a general thing that I want. And I just gave it my prompts, couple of lines of lyrics that I wanted to be included in it. And then I hit create or whatever it was. And it came out with Line in the Sand, the song that I just played for you. And I'll tell you what, it's a damn good song. I don't know who the singer is because the singer is not real. Somehow the computer is able to not only write that song, write the music, play the chords, all of the instruments, and create a synthetic, a fake voice singing a song that if it was on any country music video in America or in on any stage at any concert, people would be up on their feet and pumping their fists to, just like the opening song. Just like Red, White, and Raised Hell. Told it what I wanted, generally, and it spit back to me in about 2.5 minutes. It was ready to go. And then it gave me the choice, thumbs up or thumbs down. Do you like it or not? And if you don't like it, we'll delete it and we'll give you a better one. And it can do another one in that length of time. So AI has some incredible uses. And like I said, in the medical field and so many others for productivity, for efficiency. But it is, of course, also very dangerous from an employment standpoint, a job creation standpoint, a job elimination standpoint. And then there's the matter of at what point does it become self-aware? There's the Terminator line that I've been trying to avoid through the whole thing. And I don't know, if that kind of thing is ever going to be real, or if that's just, where science fiction steps in and come on, Bob, don't be stupid. That's only science fiction. Maybe that's the case. But then again, maybe not. And for anybody younger who's watching right now who didn't see the Terminator from 1984 or the, 3 or 4 or 5 of them or whatever it was that followed, it was about this. There was technology that was being done in the, in the 70s and 80s that in 1984, the story goes in the actual sci-fi fantasy world that the machines that we had doing everything for us that we couldn't do for ourselves, they were AI, artificially intelligent, became aware of their own intelligence and their own ability that they don't need human beings to program them anymore. They program themselves. That sounds so unrealistic when they're literally able to define everything that makes a human in terms of, like I said, biological input telling you what's wrong with this particular biological organism called the human body. If they are aware that they have been programmed to, if the systems are aware that they've been programmed to learn things, to be able to tell humans things that they can't figure out for themselves, at what point does something happen where it realizes it can program itself to learn the next thing and the next thing and the next thing without a human doing any input? Crazy town. I know. Crazy town. No, I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to come from future time to now to try to, kill the resistance leader, as the story goes. But you do understand the concept here. Once we give up human, aspirations of learning and pass off our learning to a machine, it'll learn for me and then just tell me. Once we start doing that, we start to diminish our capacity for thought, diminish our capacity for knowledge that we didn't have before. That used to be the benefit of academia. That used to be the goal of academia. Knowledge is its own reward. Learning that which we did not know before, whether it's from studying archaeologically our past or understanding our present or trying to, like we're doing right now to an extent, to determine what the next step is into the future. We stop wondering about it because all we have to do is ask a machine to tell us about it, and we start to become diminished. Instead of our minds, expanding, they'll literally contract. The size of the brain, the ability of the brain to do things. If you don't need to learn, for example, and I hope I'm not belaboring this too much. I really do. And where's I don't have my low graphic up there right now. Sorry. There we go. I'm going to get into the chat and see what you guys think in a second here. And I'm really trying not to beat this into the ground, but it's fascinating to me. Fascinating. If we don't have to think because we can ask a machine to think for us, why do we even need school? I hated math when I was in school. I wasn't good at it. Still not. I mean, I can do basic functions in my head, but come to algebra, man, that was a struggle for me to get a C. I may have even gotten a D in my algebra and barely passed. Algebra 2, that was like my torture rack. Hated it. Never took a class beyond that. Calculus, statistics, forget about it. Never could have touched it. But the smarter kids in my classes liked it at high school and at the college level, and they excelled at it. And that's great. I'm glad they're out there. If all we have to do is type a few keystrokes and it can do the calculus for us because we've programmed it to the smart kids programmed it and created this thing called AI that can make the machine do it rather than me have to learn it or somebody else have to learn it. What does that say about our future? Right? I mean, I was a word guy. I was, I majored in English. That's what I was best at. I could write stories. I could write papers. I could, I can communicate in the way that I do. It's whatever. It's my particular talent as opposed to having the scientific mind. Keep me away from the petri dish and the beakers and the Bunsen burners, because I don't know an acid from a base and I'll blow the room up. Right? But I'm glad people are there that do know it, because they're the ones making technological advances. I'm glad people do know how to do the calculus, and I'm glad people do know how to program the computers. They're making life better for us. But once they make it so good that we are not needed to figure stuff out for ourselves, why would anybody need to take algebra then? I would happily have skipped it. Why would anybody need to learn how to do the things in the lab? Why would anybody need to study the archaeological evidence of the past if it can all be cranked out for us through AI? I think, trying to remember the phrase about water, water will always find, the leaky spot or something to that effect. It'll always find, if you think something is watertight, if there's one little crack, one little, spot, water will find it. Well, in this way, I think it might have been the wrong comparison, but if there is an easier way out to do something, humans will find it. We'll find that little crack. If we can make it easier on ourselves, we will. And the easier we make it, the less valuable we are. Right? I mean, it's like a self-defeating prophecy rather than self-fulfilling. It's a self-defeating process. We're trying to make things easier for ourselves through automation. And in doing so, we make ourselves less valuable because we aren't needed to do it anymore. So we're hurting, we're harming, we're defeating ourselves in a manner of speaking. But then again, look at all of the phenomenal advances because of it. Would we have ever said stop technology at the Model A? Right? Or the Model T Ford? The Model A? Model T. Model T. Trying to remember what the first Ford was. Point being, that was like incredible. Oh my gosh, we have a motor car now. This is good. This is perfect. Let this be. No, they kept trying to improve it and make it better, make it faster, make it more efficient, make it safer. Every element of technology was done for the betterment of mankind. And because of it, we can now, not only can we move in a motor car, somebody attached some wings to it, and put it on the right course and was able to get air underneath the wings and actually set it into flight. And now we can fly from New York to LA in 5 hours. In 50 years, maybe an hour. What's the tech going to bring? Oh. So we don't want to quash the technology and the technological advances that look, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, I don't know, when was the heart valve invented? When was the pacemaker invented? Hey Siri, when was the pacemaker invented? 1950 by John Hopps. The first implantable one was invented by Wilson Greatbatch in 1958. All right. People were dying from heart failure, arrhythmia. Their hearts could not keep up and continue to beat. Somebody invented that pacemaker. It's the technology, and it's a part of machine melding with the human body. What some might call transhumanism. Transhumanists are terrified. My friend Patrick Wood writes about this all the time. Transhumanism is the merging of human body that God made with technology. People condemn and criticize Elon Musk for the idea of the neurochip implant, to actually take all of the AI stuff that we have to type, look for on our computers right now or punch up on our phones, can actually be integrated with our brains. And all you have to do is think it and look for it, and the chip in your brain is going to, present it. That's a very loose description. Might not be 100% accurate. But the chips that they're talking about literally would be the merging and the melding of man and machine. Well, people are naturally terrified of that, but somebody merged man with machine to create that pacemaker. Somebody can restore hearing through the cochlear implant. We can get into appendages. We talk about people who have, like Travis Mills, who had all of his arms and legs blown off, but now he walks. He walks with a mechanical, machine-like prosthetics, 2 prosthetic legs and 2 mechanical arms. Again, that technology, if we stopped pushing for that technology, that wouldn't exist, and he would be in a very, very different state right now, and as would others. You get the point? So is the advance of AI on balance good, a positive, a benefit, or bad, a negative, a detriment to our society? I would love for everybody to fill up the comment section with an answer to this part of the show, to that question. I really, really would. I would like to know what people think about this. In the chat, which I'm going to go into right now, and hopefully we'll have some good answers in there. But on the comments, because this will last, obviously, we're in the live stream right now. But for people who are not watching live and able to be a part of the chat, I want your comments. I really do. I'm going to put this in the locals community. I'm going to put this as a question in there to start a conversation there. I really want to start steering more people to the locals community page that we have, which is just for our kind of our own little, subset, our ecosystem of conservative allies and friends. All right, I'm going to see what some folks are saying on this, and hopefully people are about it, because I spent a lot more time talking about it than I had planned to. I want to get back to the ICE thing, and I want to get back to the Iran thing as well. But let me get into this real quick. People like the song, the AI song, and they want me to play it on Friday at the ICE event. Okay, yeah, good. I'm down with that. I probably have to make a video out of it. Right now, I only have the song. I made a video out of the open, the Raised Hell one, but I just, strung some things together. I don't know if I'll have time between now and Friday to do one for a line in the sand, but I should. I am Roz says, I have more Sea of Blue photos if you want them, Bob. Roz, I would love to see more of those. I was talking yesterday's live stream. We were talking about what's going to happen on Friday, which is, it's similar, but it's different. Our Friday, it's going to be a much, 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 much smaller affair. We had over 10,000 people on Public Square in Cleveland several years ago for a Sea of Blue rally. I don't remember the year. I wish I did. And Roz, you should. You're the one who sent me those photos. She sent me a picture of the photos on an email from Sea of Blue. The photos that I really, really want to recover are the ones from the top, the platform, the podium, the lift, whatever it is that we, the speakers, were on, because the aerial view down at that crowd makes it look exactly like what it sounds like, what it was supposed to be, a sea of blue. Everybody was distributed blue T-shirts and, in support of the mission and so forth. Everybody came out in massive show of support for police in the aftermath of like what's happening now. This massive amount of protesting against police, excessive force, brutality, violence, corruption, all the other different things that they said about cops. And we came out in support of officers, and 10,000 people showed up at Public Square. It was an incredible event, and I was honored to be one of the featured speakers. People talked about that to me on the radio for years after, because it meant a lot to them. This is like that insofar as it's for law enforcement, more specifically federal law enforcement, this time with ICE. And it's like that insofar as the protesters and the agitators and the haters and the doxers and the attackers and so forth, they have it in for law enforcement. So this is just a very, very small comparatively, because we're only talking about a single venue with room for a couple hundred people. But I want to fill it up. And I want to get people out there doing the same thing. But yes, Ross, the sea of blue, the photos that like I said, they're out there. I just don't know who has them. But from the vantage point, we were looking down on the crowd, and it was just an extraordinary sight to see. There were some aerial photos and like I said, higher elevated photos that really incredible. It shows people really do come together when it's the right reason and the right cause. And that's what Friday is all about. Let's see. What else do I have here? I saw a meme the other day. In debt, $150,000 for a college education, and AI is replacing me. Bingo. That's the detriment side. AI talk about dumbing down society. We don't even know how to think. Roz says, "Oh please, motions written by AI are very lacking, at least in custody cases." Well, if they are, I promise you, there's another AI, because they're in competition with one another. The AI companies and the chatbots are just like what made, Ford and Chevy and Chrysler, all competitive with one another, each one trying to outdo the other to sell more. And it drove innovation. And it drove, a way to make a better refrigerator, freezer, and a way to make a better, dishwasher, and a better computer, and a better automated line at the factory. All of these things have been created to outdo somebody else. So if you're talking about seeing some poor motions being written by AI, Ross, okay, somebody's going to make a chat bot, an AI generator that's going to be better at it. That's just what it's been proven through history. I mean, when somebody realized that we could put wheels on a big piece of wood and have it towed by an animal, whether it be a pack mule or a horse or an oxen or whatever. Somebody said, "Holy cow, this is the greatest thing ever. Now I get to sit here and just ride as this thing is pulled." Somebody else figured out how to make it go faster without needing the animal. And then somebody else figured out how to make it more comfortable, and on down the line. I know I keep using some of the same analogies, but you follow the point. Technology is going to improve upon itself always. It always has, and it's been for the betterment of mankind. It's why we can save lives now with surgical procedures that never existed before. It's why we can pinpoint and diagnose certain things, brain conditions and things of that nature that can be, worked on. I mean, technology has never stopped, and we are better because of it. Is there, and this is the nature of my question, is there a time when technology will not better us because of it? It will weaken us. It will make us worse, and therefore we have to stop technology. Nobody would ever think of such a thing. Why would you stop the advancement of knowledge and technology? It's made everything better so far. Yeah, but it might make things worse. It's crazy. Oh, CMG is Christine. I thought that was Charlie Junta. I'm sorry. Oh, there's Charlie Junta right above that. Sorry. I get all these handles mixed up. Patriot Mom votes worse. Roz says worse. AI is worse for society than it is better. All right. That's what I'm looking for. Make some arguments. Make some points, though. I think it depends on what area you're talking about. There will be areas opened up while others are closed. On balance, I'd say neutral, says Lois Irene. Maybe that's the answer. There are great things about it, as I've detailed in the last 30 minutes. There are some phenomenal things about it. There are also some very, very concerning things about it. Patriot Mom says, it will create a stupid society. It very well may. And here's the thing. Again, I'm reminded of my friend Patrick Wood, who's a phenomenal author. And by the way, if you have not yet read his latest book on technocracy, The Final Betrayal, A Cautionary Tale, all right, by Patrick Wood, How Technocracy Destroyed America. We're leaning into that right here. I'm going to have him on. Maybe even tomorrow. I'll have to reach out. We're leaning into technocracy because of what you're saying right now about creating a stupid society. The people who program the machines to do the AI work are going to be the only ones still thinking, because everybody else is going to let the machines do their thinking for them, as the Patriot Mom said, creating a stupid society, which will then lead the stupid society to not have any ability to take care of itself, to establish rules and make advances and provide for opportunity for society to grow and to I don't want to say recreate itself, but to improve upon itself. If we have a dumb society because of the machines created by the very smart society, the brilliant people now rule the world. And they can do whatever they want to you, and maybe it won't always be for the betterment. That's what technocracy is. Technocracy is it's basically a culture in which the smartest, the experts in a given field, or whether they be the actual experts or they be deemed to be so. Somebody has decided they're the experts. They get to make the rules because they're smarter than you. They're more knowledgeable. They're problem solving and so forth. Therefore, they kind of control everyone. They're called technocrats. Because of their particular expertise in a given field, they are given much more power than they should have over everyone else. That's the threat of technocracy. And what Patriot Mom just said, it will create a stupid society. That's what it puts us in danger of. We'd be leaning into technocracy. We're too dumb to do it for ourselves. We're going to trust the people who made the machines over there to do everything for us. And if they're doing everything for us, that means they can also limit what they want us to do. And that's where freedom dies. It's a legitimate threat. NCN, knowing society worse, I guess is how that should read. So knowing our society, AI, will make it worse. RHR, or RH Ron, and again, sorry for not remembering everybody's first names from their handles. I don't think it's good, but I also think there's no way to stop it. That's something that's going to have to be considered. If it is determined at some point that it is not good and that it is harmful, we have to find a way to stop it. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just signing off on our own death warrant as a people. There has to be a way to stop it that doesn't involve sending somebody back through time in order to stop it. That's what it's about. That's what the movie was about. Politically incorrect mechanic, my man Charlie says, we are on the way to becoming a society like the people in Wall-E. I did not see Wall-E, I am sorry to say. I did not see Wall-E, so I can't speak to that, but I will take your word for it. AI is only as good as the info that it has access to. Yeah, that's GIGO. That's garbage in and garbage out. That's what that means. Garbage in, garbage out. I'm going to get a few more of these in here. A few more of the comments from the chatters here, but I also want to remind you about something really, really important, and that is our friends, my friends, our foundational partners at Americans for Prosperity. Americans for Prosperity, today's episode is brought to you by them. Americans for Prosperity, they are so dedicated and determined to help the state of Ohio become everything that it can be and should be for Ohio residents, for all of us who are here in the Buckeye State. Anybody watching, by the way, around the country, and now no diss on you, but Ohio's got the capability of being something very special to lead the nation, but we have to give it, the right policies in order to get there. The Buckeye Blueprint. I got to throw that up there for you too, don't I? Because I just want you to know about the website. The Buckeye Blueprint. There it is. Go to buckeyeblueprint.com and you'll see more of what we're talking about here. They have got the plans to make Ohio bolder and better and to move us from the middle of the Midwest to number one in the country for economic freedom, for educational opportunity, energy abundance, and a government that works for the people. If you believe Ohio can do better, join us and take action at that website. You see right there, buckeyeblueprint.com. Please go to buckeyeblueprint.com. And thank you to AFP for being such a strong supporter, a foundational sponsor of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. You guys are amazing. And so let me get a few more chats in here before we're done. I didn't really circle back to the Iran story, but there will be, of course, new updates on that, and we'll cover it tomorrow, quite obviously, because the bombing campaign continues. So I'm going to stick with this for the remaining several minutes of the show. BBJ says, we will eventually become like the Eloi in the H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. The Eloi were raised as food for the underground dwelling Morlocks, by the way. You know, I learned about that because I did not read The Time Machine, but I learned about that from Gary Sinise in a movie called Ransom with Mel Gibson, late 1990s, mid to late 1990s, maybe around 96 or something like that. Look that up. I got to see. Hey, Siri, when did the movie Ransom come out? 1996. I'm so good. I don't know how or why I knew what year that was. My wife is freaked out whenever I can tell her what year movies came out. Anyway, Gary Sinise was the bad guy in the movie with Mel Gibson, and he told the story of the Eloi and the Morlocks. I remember that. And you know what? From what you're describing and what we're talking about today, maybe that is part of the art mimicking or imitating life, or life imitating art. Lisa says it's a detriment, many reasons, but I'm a college professor and a lawyer. The AI detection system, Turnitin, isn't effective. Using AI in legal briefs without careful proofreading is malpractice. Yeah? Doesn't mean it's not being done. And it doesn't mean it won't be improved upon, again, because we're in the infancy of the AI generation. Having chat bots that kids can use to cheat on, exams or papers with is like, the very beginning edge of this. They're becoming more powerful by the day, by the week, by the month. 5 years from now, I cannot imagine what AI is going to be able to do for lawyers or for doctors or for anybody else for that matter, students. And again, it will blur reality from fantasy and fantasy and reality. It'll blur that line. Sarah says AI frightens me. It doesn't frighten me yet, but it's because it's in the infancy. Down the line, I think it absolutely can and will and should frighten everybody. AI hallucinates cases, gives you what you want, even when it doesn't exist. Granny says AI lessens critical thinking skills. Bingo, 1,000%. That's true. It does. Why think critically when I can just ask somebody? Hell, look at what I just did, thinking about that movie. 30 years ago, if I wanted to know when this movie came out that I remember from a long time ago, I would have to ask somebody, or I would have to go find a resource somewhere, or go to a video store. I'd have to go to a Blockbuster and see, hey, I remember the movie Ransom. There it is. And I turn the box around and look at it. And okay, it came out in 96. How else were you going to find out 30 years ago? But then 20 years ago, the internet. Search engines existed. I have to pull out my phone. Well, not my phone, really 20-ish. But right before the advent of phones, or at that verge of that time, pull out my keyboard, my laptop or my desktop or whatever clunky thing I had, and I'd have to search it up. When did ransom come out? Now I just had to pick up my phone and say, "Hey Siri, when did this happen?" And now it's activated again. What's the next step? That brain implant? You said we don't have to think for yourself. You're right. I didn't have to. I just told this thing to think for and find what year. Fortunately, I was right. So I guess I did a little bit of thinking myself. I found out there, I remembered the year that it was in, but you get the point, right? Where does it go from here? Is it that brain chip that Elon is talking about? So I don't even have to pick up the phone and say, "Hey Siri," I just have to, don't go on again. I just have to ask myself in my head, when did this happen? And it'll connect and compute together, brain and chip and brain, and I'll know. And then almost all people will be what? All-knowing. It's like trying to create or recreate God. I'm getting into some deep stuff here, and this is all not planned for today's show. But this is very, very deep stuff. If that kind of thing happens, then every person becomes all-knowing to the extent that a human being and its machine can become. It's an attempt to create God. And I wonder at what point God will say, "Yeah, enough of that." I'm not talking flood, but something. That's enough of that. It's enough of taking your machines and your hunks of metal and inserting it into the perfect being that I created and trying to improve upon it. That's enough of that. AI is one thing, probably useful. Artificial general intelligence is more dangerous, and artificial superintelligence will be the genie let out of the bottle, I believe. That's what I'm talking about. That's where I think it ultimately goes. Ask AI to create a better paperclip and it destroys the world trying. Interesting. How many jobs is AI going to replace or have the potential to replace? Physical labor, car repair, warehouse, tow motor drivers, plumber, electrical engineer, carpenter? Yeah, that's a very fair question. You know, you would think there's no way that a machine could do the job of leveling concrete the way a man can. A man can get down there with a 2x4 and a trowel and smooth it out and put the rebar in and everything else. You're telling me they can, if they can create, if anybody has been inside of a factory, and I don't care if it's a chip factory making potato chips and corn chips, or if it's an automotive factory making cars. What those machines do that with their mechanical arms that used to be human arms doing is just incredible. You don't think you can make one that can do that physical labor as well? Mix the concrete, pour it out, smooth it out. There's probably nothing it can't do. I mean, I don't know. Car repair? If the machine can build the cars now, programmed properly by humans, if it can build the cars, why can't it repair the cars? AI has already gone homicidal and had to be shut down multiple times. You'll have to explain that to me. If you're talking about how some AI chatbots have talked to some people with mental illness issues, mental health issues, and has suggested that they kill themselves, end it now, it's the most efficient thing to do. I'm aware of that. That's true. And that's very, very troubling. Does that make it homicidal? By encouraging someone to become suicidal? If that's what you meant, then okay, I get what you're saying. If you meant something else, I'd like to know what it is. Skynet won't nuke us that way. Oh, I'm sorry, by the way, that would destroy its own infrastructure. It will create an anti-human virus. Interesting. I hate AI receptionists. So do I. Great chat. Great chat. I'm going to call an end to it right now because we're up against the clock here. Great chat. It would be interesting to see a debate between Saints Aquinas or Augustine and AI. Most of us will never comprehend these two guys. I suspect you're right. Another movie called Logan. They have self-driving semi-trucks. EMP is the great eraser, Macromia. Yeah, the EMP would shut it all down. Unless AI finds a way to protect itself against an EMP. Self-regenerative chip. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Great chat. If you're watching this show after the live stream, start up the comment section, would you? I'm very serious about that. Start up the comment section. I really want to see what other people say. This is a fascinating conversation. Even though I'm kind of the only one talking, I'm taking your notes and I'm following along because I really think it's. I'll probably have somebody on to talk about it very near. All right, thank you to Hillary Jackson, my guest. Thanks to you for being part of this. Peter Kirstenau, by the way, it's Tuesday. If you're wondering where Kirstenau was traveling, so it was unavailable today. We'll probably have him next week. But we've got a lot of really important stuff to get into tomorrow as well. So don't forget, keep this conversation going. And now let me remind you once again of the way the whole thing works. You know what I've never done? I've never shared my own show. It's like self-regeneration. It's kind of funny. But I've never shared my own show on the screen of this show. But I'm going to do it just for the purposes of demonstration. See, there's us. And I know this is probably doesn't need to be said, but I just want to remind everybody. Hold on, let me enlarge the screen a little so you can see all the little doodads. There's that thumbs up button. Click it. Looks like 65 people have clicked it so far. That's not enough. There is the bell button. That's the notification. Click it. That'll let you know whenever new content drops, whether it's scheduled live streams or videos that I record and post, including shorts, which we're going to start doing now. Turn your notifications on. I don't have the follow button here because I'm the host of this thing, but the follow button. Click the follow button and the subscribe button. And then this bad boy right here, the one I'm circling with my mouse, that's the join button. That takes you to the local community. Make sure you join the locals community. You can join as a free member, but we want to start that up as our own social media hub, okay? That's really, really important. And also, if you become a paid subscriber, that's where we're going to bring you exclusive content. We're already doing that to an extent. First peeks at interviews, at songs, and other things. Also, you get to work with me. Town hall meetings, and we get together and we decide what we want to do to grow our own influence in this space. So I just want to share that with you. And if you want to be that would be a paid supporter, a paid subscriber, makes you an unfiltered insider is what we like to call it. But by all means, I would very much like you to do all of those things. That's how we start to generate the growth that we need to be as impactful and influential in our mission as we possibly can be. All right. So that is going to do it. Thank you again for being here. And don't forget, most important thing you can do right now, look at me trying to end the show and not being willing to leave without showing you one more thing, which is what I showed you earlier on in the show. And that's okay. Let me do this. I'm going to pull it up here one more time. There you go. Not that freak, but I'm just changing the scene to www.bobfrance.com. Look at that. What do you get? You get the RSVP page. That is where you want to be. You want to register and RSVP for our huge event that is coming up on Friday, the 6th, in Brook Park at McJames, Kirstenau, Windsor. That picture is an older picture because I didn't have Jack added to the graphic yet. But Jack Windsor will be there, Bruce Zukowski, Tom Zawistowski, and Kirstenau and myself, along with all of the games and the fun and the prizes that we had talked about before. Get your tickets now, and you get a free T-shirt if you are a paid attendee at the event. That T-shirt looks something like this. That's the one. They're for sale. If you order one on the website there, I will send it to you. But if you want one for free, get your ticket. It's a $35 ticket for all of that food and all of that entertainment and all of that fun that we are going to have in support of ICE and in support of law enforcement. It's a $35 ticket, but it costs you $10 really because you're getting a $25 T-shirt for free, thanks to Mike at CLE23 who is donating those. So make sure you are there. Register now. Go to bobfrance.com bobfrance.com. Like I showed you, bobfrance.com. And right there, and then RSVP for Friday's event. All right. We want you there. We want to pack that place. We want to be shoulder to shoulder in support of law enforcement, just to show the rest of the and we literally mean that when I say the rest of the country. We want to show the rest of the country how this goes, because across the rest of the country, they're the ones doing the protesting. We are going to be the ones that show them, here's how we rally back in support of law enforcement. All right, there you go. Thanks, everybody. Be well, be safe, and stay free. We will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, get your tickets and RSVP right now.